This is World Report. Good morning. I'm Marcia Young. North American markets are down again. They surged before closing yesterday with the news of Donald Trump's tariff reprieve. But today, they're facing renewed pressure. My World Report co-host John Northcott joins me with the latest. And John, the markets have just opened in North America. The Dow, the NASDAQ, the S&P, the TSX, all slipping. What can you tell us?
Marcia, once again, we're seeing plenty of red. On the heels of a banner upswing yesterday on North American markets, traders today seem to be realizing that even if Trump's tariffs don't hit as hard as they might have, the longer-term damage may have been done. Concerns about a possible recession and the continued unpredictability of the current U.S. administration appear to be steering the wild ride. It was a different story earlier in the day in Europe, with major markets in Germany, France and the UK making gains, with the DAX, the CAC 40 and the FTSE all up between 4 and 5.5%. Asian markets from Singapore to Taiwan and Japan all saw substantial jumps in value today as investors scrambled with relief to take advantage of the Trump tariff reprieve. Markets rose somewhat in Hong Kong and Shanghai as well, but not nearly to the same extent.
The U.S. president yesterday hit Beijing with a 125% tariff in reaction to China imposing an 84% duty on U.S. imports. How is that battle shaping up?
Marcia, for China's rulers and its people, the Trump tariff war goes to national pride and has existential implications. Danny Russell is with the Asia Society Policy Institute.
What he has achieved is getting the Chinese people to rally behind President Xi Jinping and reduced the incentive for China to compromise.
Russell adds the Trump flip-flops have sent a message to the Chinese that whatever deal could be struck might not stick. Trump, though, says many countries around the world are coming to him to make a deal and that he expects to hear from China, but won't say when he expects that to happen.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, Marcia.
My World Report co-host, John Northcott. Liberal leader Mark Carney says the pause on some U.S. tariffs is good for the global economy, but Canada will still need to renegotiate trade with the U.S. And Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre says Carney is not the right man for that job.
Carney is running his entire campaign on a false promise that he can control the president through magical, masterful negotiating techniques. Well, we know now that that is not true. Nobody can control this president.
Poilievre was campaigning in Brampton, Ontario overnight, and today he is staying in the 905. There are about 30 ridings up for grabs in that suburban region around Toronto. The Liberals and the NDP are fighting to win a seat, any seat in Saskatchewan. The leaders of both parties touched down in Saskatoon last night, their planes parked next to each other on the tarmac. As Ashley Burke reports, they threw events in a riding they're both hoping to win.
We are in the Paris of the prairies, thank God. This is amazing.
Liberal leader Mark Carney and NDP leader Jagmeet Singh.
Oh man, this is in some energy. We needed this energy.
Both rallying supporters in Saskatoon West within 2 kilometers of one another.
We got to send great Saskatchewan MPs to Ottawa, because let me tell you, I have lived in Ottawa a number of years and nothing happens in Ottawa.
The Liberals and NDP were both shut out of the province in the 2019 and 2021 elections. Now the parties are trying to change that and pick up Conservative seats.
Ottawa works best when one party doesn't have all the power. We've seen in our history the best things that have ever come out of our parliament have been when New Democrats have been there. Our universal health care, New Democrats.
Singh pitching the hope of a minority government by sending more NDP MPs to parliament. He's hoping to build on momentum that the NDP saw provincially in the fall election, as the Liberals try to solidify their strong support in polls across the prairie provinces. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says more than 150 Chinese citizens are fighting with Russia in the war against Ukraine.
Залучення ще й громадян Китаю.
He says the involvement of Chinese nationals with Chinese passports is inflaming the war and it must be responded to in a principled manner. Earlier this week, Ukrainian troops captured 2 Chinese soldiers who were said to be fighting in the Donetsk region. Zelensky says they are cooperating with investigators and he believes Russia is recruiting Chinese citizens on social media. A U.S.-Russian dual citizen jailed in Russia has been freed. It was part of a prisoner exchange with the U.S. Ballerina Ksenia Karolina was convicted of treason in a Russian court. The charges came after she made a $52 donation to a U.S. charity assisting Ukraine. Karolina lives in Los Angeles. She was arrested last year while visiting family in Russia. Karolina's lawyer confirmed she left on a plane to the U.S. from Abu Dhabi, where the swap took place. In the Dominican Republic, hope more survivors will be found in the rubble of a collapsed nightclub is starting to fade. The head of emergency operations updated people keeping vigil for their loved ones last night. 218 people are now confirmed dead. 24 patients are still in hospital. There are dozens of people still waiting to hear something about their missing loved ones. The artist in residence at the University of Prince Edward Island has quit. Christopher Griffin's U.S.-themed painting is proving controversial on campus. As Wayne Thibodeau reports, it's a parody of the famed Washington crossing the Delaware.
When my country was threatened by the government of the United States of America, I felt I had to do something.
Christopher Griffin's painting is a group of lemmings in a boat carrying an American flag.
I chose lemmings because they have the mythology of producing mass suicide by jumping over a cliff. And it seemed to me that the government of the United States was self-inflicting wounds.
The college says it prompted complaints, including from American faculty members. Griffin says he was given two options: take down the controversial painting or leave. He decided to quit.
I offered to do a talk and to explain why I thought this painting was relevant and important, and they declined to do that.
Dominique Griffin is the dean of the Atlantic Veterinary College, where the artwork was on display.
We do not intend to censor his work. We did express that he was welcome to continue his work, but just that an institute of higher education, especially one that focuses on veterinary science and animal health, was not the right venue for
Christopher Griffin says he just wanted to stand up for his country. He says the university is the perfect place to have this discussion.
I'm quite disturbed by what is going on. I love this country, and I want to do what I can.
Griffin says he doesn't wish any ill will on the university or its administration. He says it's just too bad it had to end this way. Wayne Thibodeau, CBC News, Charlottetown.
Statistics Canada released the latest numbers on cross-border travel. They show Canadians making road trips to the U.S. last month down more than 30% from March of last year. Air travel down 13% for the same period. That shift is hitting favored snowbird destinations like Florida with a serious economic blow. Steve Futterman has that story.
70-year-old Laurie Fisher lives in Winnipeg, but has been coming to Florida every winter since he was 5.
What's going on now between Canada and the United States, from a Canadian point of view, is untenable.
Now he is going home. He sold his condo here in Clearwater and doesn't expect to come back.
I've talked to a lot of Canadians that have made the decision to leave.
And many who were thinking of coming are staying away.
Pretty large amount of Canadians are actually deciding to cancel their trips.
Robert Washington is a real estate broker in Tampa.
So I work with a lot of investors that own Airbnbs. One client said about 40% of his bookings were with Canadians. All of them canceled his trips.
All over Florida, businesses, especially hospitality businesses, are feeling the impact. In one spot, especially popular with Canadians.
Beautiful Dunedin, Florida, the site of the first spring training game of the Blue Jays.
In Dunedin, Canadians did show up for the Blue Jays preseason games, but the numbers seem to be smaller. And Don Daly, who runs a popular bar in Dunedin, says those that did show up went home very quickly when the games ended.
Yeah, I would say it was a significant drop-off over the past week. Usually people will stay around until after Easter, and it usually kind of tapers off slowly, but we felt a little bit of a significant drop just this past week.
The big question among those impacted is whether this is a one-year anomaly or possibly the new normal. Steve Futterman for CBC News, Clearwater, Florida.
That is World Report. I'm Marcia Young.